Jayadeva, Geet Govinda, a lyrical Sanskrit poem based on Lord Krishna, Radha and the Gopis, continues to inspire generations of artists and researchers. The Geet Govinda, set to Odissi music, was sung in the Jagannath temple and continues to be sung even today. Our speakers of this stage talk, Odissi and the Geet Govinda, Dr. Ileana Citaristi, a Padma Shri awardee, has written a book which is titled Odissi and Geet Govinda. Ileana, along with Nayantara and Kumar, help us with some understanding on the depth and impact this poem has had over the culture, history, religious cult, art, and culture of India. Of Italian origin, Dr. Ileana has made India her home since 1979 and dedicated her life to Indian dance. Her contributions didn't go unnoticed, and she has been awarded the Padma Shri by the Government of India. Trained as an Odissi dancer under Guru K. Vicharan Mohapatra, she has also mastered the Chau dance under Guru Hari Nayak. She has carved a niche in the world of Indian dance with these two forms. We now have the opportunity to see her innovative choreography, hopefully in both these two styles. In conversation with her is dance activist Nayantara Kumar from our very own Hyderabad. Founder of Our Sacred Space, Nayantara is known for embracing diverse causes and creating awareness as well as raising funds through her very creative and mesmerizing performances. Now it's time to actually indulge in some real soul-refreshing conversations and performances. Please put your hands together to welcome Dr. Ileana Citaristi and Nanda.
Could you tell us about your journey?
Namaskar to everybody. Again, I would like to apologize for this delay, which was not in my hands actually. So thank you for the presentation. I am very happy to be here in Hyderabad and talk about this book, which is very, for me, it has been a very work of love, because I am in Odisha since 1979, and Geet Govinda was one of the first reasons for which, instead to be there only for 1 year, as I had planned, I became a lifetime journey. So I was doing theatre in Italy and studied philosophy also. So these two things were running parallel. When I came to India, actually I had the occasion to have a synthesis of these two parallel traits, because Indian dance is not only technique, is not only movement, but there is a lot of content, a lot of philosophy behind, which one has to study, to understand, to assimilate. So these two things, which were, as I said, running parallel until I was in Italy, they got a confluence together. And this is one of the reasons why, instead to just learn some movement and apply this movement to my theatre work, as I had planned, and to go back within 1 year, I'm still here, still trying to learn, still trying to go deep in this vast ocean of cultural richness which we find in India, but in specifically where I'm staying in Odisha. It's a lifetime journey. So it became a dance, it became Odissi dance instead to go back to theatre. And as I said, one of the first texts which really enchanted me was the Gita Govinda. So when I came in the beginning, I didn't know the depth of the meaning of this. So first it was the magic, romantic aspect of the poetry which attracted me. But then I, being a scholar, a student of philosophy, naturally I started to read about the Vaishnavism philosophy and all the symbolism which is behind this text. And then also to admire the musicality of the text, of the Sanskrit, which is so even if one is not a scholar, a Sanskrit scholar, but is attracted by the sheer musicality of the text if you're just hearing it. And then I had the fortune to be a student of Padma Vibhushana Guru Kelucharan Mohapatra, who I'm sure quite maybe some of you must have not only heard but also seen on stage. And he was well known for incredible portrayals of the Ashtapadi of the Gita Govinda. So I learned from him, and that was a very inspiring journey.
Can you also describe the evolution of the way it has been portrayed in Odissi, the Gita Govinda?
See, it's when I started to write this book, I realized that I had to follow at least three different threads, because I had the mythological stories to refer to, and I had the oral tradition, which was full of legends, anecdotes about the poet, and about Padmavati, and about the origin of this text, and the royal inscription, the copper plates, the historical. So these three different threads, they were all very important, because I wanted to give justice to all of them. So I refer to not only to the oral tradition, to the stories which have been said, which are still there in Odisha, in the folklore knowledge of the people, but also to the anecdotes, to the mythologies which is behind this, and to the, of course, to the historical evidences. So these three threads I refer to. First of all, I started in the book to tell about the building of the Jagannath temple. And so in the temple, which was built in different phases by different dynasties. But by the time Jayadev wrote the Gita Govinda, the temple was constructed, was there, and immediately it seems the Gita Govinda became the major text which Lord Jagannath predilected, and even we have certain stories which says that some king they also tried to write imitation of the text on the Radha Krishna theme, and they tried to put their own script, their own text as a service to Lord Jagannath. But Lord Jagannath they discarded that. And when they opened the Panda, the priest opened the temples, they found that this book was thrown away, and the Jayadev book was there. And so then we have a lot of stories which, for example, once the priest, the Pandas found that the dress of the Lord was a little bit torn in the morning, and so they wonder how it happened, and then in the dream the king came to know that actually Jagannath told him that he had heard some ladies singing the Diras and the Gita Govinda and in the forest, and he followed her, and so that's why his dress was turned. So all these small stories which we are there very much part of the culture. So we don't have any evidence that are real or not, but for me are real because they are part of this culture. And the faith in Lord Jagannath, it's so strong in Odissi, it's really the central point of that culture. So whatever, and Geeta Govinda from the very beginning has been part of the rituals. And up to a certain point in which when King Prataparudradeva has written one inscription which is still there on the temple door, in which he says that only the Geeta Govinda will be sang and danced at the time of the Lord going to sleep. And so by the 4 batch of the Mahari or the Devadasi, and he said, I am also prayed by the Veena player. So this was absolutely a king order. So the Govinda from the very beginning acquired these important roles in the rituals of the temple. So we have to also refer to the Mahari, to the Devadasi, who were entitled, some of them, not all of them. They actually, the Mahari, which was belonging to the most Bittarigani, so they could enter into a certain part of the temple, not all of them could, at the doorstep of the inner sanctorum of the Garbhagriha, and there they were supposed to sing this Geeta Govinda at the time of the Bodhisingara Tupa, at the time in which the Lord was decorated before going to sleep in the evening. So this privilege was not even there for all the Devadasi, only some of them which had this particular function. And this continued up to the beginning of the last century. And then with slowly the last Devadasi who sang, Kokila Prabha, after her the Shiva terminated. As all the other Shiva by the Devadasi, but this particular one is one of the Shiva which has remained up to the more than the others. So this singing of the Geeta Govinda. And then naturally, slowly in the book, I had to follow this from the temple rituals and how it came out of the temple and what type of transformation it took when instead to be sang and to be offered to the Lord, it came to have to be a part of the dance. So instead to be a dance, a rituals in the temple became a particular part of the dance performance. So that is the item which I followed in the book.
So I remember that when Guruji had taught one of his students and she performed, you spoke of how Rukmini Devi had objected to the portrayal, the Odissi portrayal of the Geeta Govinda.
See, now we have already come to the post-independence when the revival of the dance style took place. And I can say before reaching to this episode that it was not easy for the Guru to decide and to have the liberty and to have the capacity also to teach the Geeta Govinda to the young girls, because when the dance was revived after 1950, at the beginning very young girls were coming to learn. So there was objection, even in Odissi itself there was objection because this erotic content of the poem would or not be suitable to be taught. Although it is not only Geeta Govinda which has this erotic content, because so many, after that, so many literary work has been done in imitation of the Geeta Govinda or inspired by the Geeta Govinda where the erotic content is there. But so the Guru himself not immediately they started to teach, but slowly with the maturity of the dancers and also maturity of the Guru themselves. So the Ashtabadi started to be performed, to be composed, and for them, whoever guru I have interviewed, for them there was absolutely no vulgarity or no hesitation because to teach this content, because the faith in the Vaishnavism, in the Radha Krishna as an Atma Paramatma, as the individual soul and a universal soul, the union of Radha and Krishna as symbols of this kind of ultimate goal which the man is aspiring to. So for them it was not for sure a union between a human being, but it was a symbolical and philosophical and spiritual meaning, which and they had total faith in it. So that there was no doubt about in their mind, so no hesitation. But the time was not yet immediately ready to accept that. And what she was referring to, when I think it was 1958, if you don't go wrong, there was a Jayadev seminar organized by Sangeeta Academy in Delhi. And for that occasion, one of the major students of Guru Kerucharya Mahapatra, one of the senior most, Kumar, she presented few Astapadi with the Guru had just freshly composed for that occasion, for the seminar on Geeta Govinda. It was a national seminar. I don't remember exactly the date. For that seminar, they presented, and it seems that Rukmini Devi was present to that demonstration, and she gave some comment on the fact that Geeta Govinda should not be utilized in dance, taught in dance or expressed in dance because of that erotic content. But later on, when after a few years another dancer, Sonal Mansingh, performed one particular Ashtapadi, which is the last one, 24th one, Kuriya Nanda, which is probably the maximum expression of erotism, if we talk about the erotic content. At that point, even when Sonalji was learning it from Guruji, and he had composed this Kuriya Nandana, this last Ashtapadi, in which Radha is victorious over her lover, and after the union, she's asking to her lover to remake her dress, to remake her hair, to remake her makeup, to dress her again. So this is what it is called. And when Sonalji presented it in Madras, at that point, even Rukmini Devi appreciated very much, and she actually admitted that there was no at all any vulgarity in it. But it took a little bit of time to adjust this. The depth of this poem, it is in so many ways you can approach these poems. You can approach it as a Sanskrit masterpiece, as Vaishnavism philosophy, or as a musical rendition, because the songs, each Astapadi was supposed to be sang, and the name of the raga and tala is very much specified by Jayadev. So it can be approached under so many angles, under so many. It depends from the person who is approaching it. And up to now, I can say that even the layman, who may not understand the subtle meaning of the Sanskrit, but is taken by two of the songs with which it started, the Dasavatar and Srita Kamala Kuchamandala. So Srita Kamala Kuchamandala, the hymn to Vishnu, that is still sang in all the houses over there at the time of Arati in the evening. Whoever is doing puja in the evening, Srita Kamala Kuchamandala, it will be sang, and also Jayadev Dasavatar is absolutely so popular that is in the blood of the people. It is in their gene. So Dasavatar is there in the culture, in the people, in so many ways. So from the learned one who will analyze the Sanskrit to the one who doesn't know Sanskrit at all, but is totally bhakta, is totally devotional. So this is the things for which I thought that Geeta Govinda, if I want to write history of the culture landscape of Odisha, the Geeta Govinda is the leitmotif, is the common thread which keep together so many aspects.
So it was probably a matter of luck that Jayadev came when there was a wave of Vaishnavism, as well as the beauty, the intense mood, as well as the beauty of the verse. So all of this tied together so that it can appeal to not only the scholar, the learned, but also to the layperson. I also read in your book about what the Hungarian scholar had written, and I was really taken by that remark.
Charles Fabry. Yeah, because
let me just read what he said. He said when he saw one of the last Maharis, Kokila Prabha, one of the last Devadasis. He said this form is so beautiful, and it is a form that has not been influenced by learned men. So I was interested to know how different that form is from the form we see today.
Yeah, in a way, of course, the things have developed, and the way Mahari must have demonstrated at that time. This is Charles Fabry, who was one of the first historian archaeologists who discovered the beauty of Odissi, when Odissi was not even, the name was not there. It was Odisha Nacha, Odisha dance, but Odissi itself, he was one of the first one who saw the dance in Delhi by Monty, and in the 50s and in the last century. And so he wrote this beautiful style. Then he came to Odisha, studied all the sculpture and all the temples. And in that occasion, he saw one demonstration of. So at that point, Kokila was already at a certain age, and she had stopped to perform in the temple. So what it must have impressed him was the simplicity and really the devotional aspect, which was for surely the most prominent in her interpretation. And so that's why when he says so different from not contaminated by the learned one, because it was the most genuine and the most natural expression of devotion and love for Jagannath by somebody who had dedicated their life to him. So these women actually, apart from all the bad reputation which later on people applied to this category, but whoever I met, they were sincerely devoted. The few of them with whom I was in touch, Muriappa and Kokila, these were the two which were more prominent when I came in the 70s last century. So this is what he meant to say. And somebody else was Indrani Reman, who was already a Bharatanatyam dancer, and she started to learn Odissi at a certain point. She also reported in her autobiography that she was fascinated by the rendition of the Ashtapadi done in houses by one of the Mahari. And she thinks that still as the best rendition which she has ever seen in her life. So maybe technically they had lost the things, the dance technically maybe it has become a little bit less rich of what it was maybe some century ago when the Mahari were in full the climax of their but for sure that devotional part and that real genuine feeling for Jagannath, it must be there. And I think, in fact, Dunguri was one of the two Mahari. And whatever I know about the temple, because I cannot enter into Jagannath temple. And so whatever I know of the temple, I know because whatever Dunguri Appa told me, Lakshmi Dunguri Appa is her name, and how we call her. And so whatever I know, I know. And once she told me something which it remained in my mind. She said that, many people came and learn and took away from us and learn from us and research from us and did this and then they expanded to the world and all these things. But it's like to pick up a flower and go away and think that you have the scent also with it, but the scent is remaining with us, so that it cannot be taken by anybody else, because that is our life was. So this Geeta Govinda, it is not only Geeta Govinda. They were also singing also other songs, not in the temple, in other rituals of them. But Geeta Govinda was the one which was the most near to them and to the Lord. So, and as I said, there are many stories in which Jagannath himself came forward to say, no, I want to hear only the Geeta Govinda for my seva.
So you were adopted by a Mahari, and was there, like, how was the transmission? Was there actually classes like we see today? Or did you learn by seeing and living a day-to-day experience?
No, I actually I was not adopted in that way. But my conversation with Dunguri Appa started when I just came, 79, I came in 1979. So by 1981, during that time, I started to go to her place, into her house in Puri. And by that time, I knew Oriya quite already. In 1 year, I learned Oriya. So I didn't need any translator or anything. So I went there and I just sat there. But I didn't ask much about dance. At that point, I was more interested to hear about the rituals in which the Devadasi and the Mahari. Devadasi, it is a name which is Mahari is in Odissi, is the same thing. So I was interested to know in which rituals they were connected with the temple, what they were doing each month, in each calendar of the Jagannath rituals. So I note down all that. And there are certain rituals in which it were very much important for them, like the Chandan Jatra was there, or the Sakala Dupa, when the morning food offering to Jagannath, where the Mahari was dancing, that they were dancing all the pure dance, not singing any song. In the evening, the Shingara Dupa, when the Jagannath was going to sleep. And then so many during the year, they were portraying different characters it was their Shiva, and they were dividing the Shiva between themselves. So I was interested in these things. So then I was learning from Guruji only, but one day Guruji had taught us one Brajo Uchoro Asichi, one song, which is Vatsalya Rasa, in which the mother is telling to the child to sleep, because if you don't sleep, a thief will come and take you away and all this thing. So this song is very much a song that the Mahari used to sing. It was in their repertoire. So she saw me dancing in the TV, that the Doordarshan had projected that. So the next day when I went to her, she was so happy, and she said, oh, you are like my daughter. And so from that time, it was that kind of relation that out of like this. But I learning dance, I kept on learning from Kerucha Mahapatra. Actually, when the revival of the dance took place, after the 1950, between 50 and 60, 65, 10, 15 years of revival was there. the gurus got together the Gotipua, some scholars, they got together to give a structure to this dance because it was all a little bit spread and scattered here and there, the knowledge. So, and then they wanted to be recognized as a classical dance, so they had to harmonize a certain terminology with the Sanskrit, with the Shastra terminology. So the foot position, the hand, what type of chali, what type of... So all this work has been done really in association which was called Jayantika. So unfortunately, during that time, they, Mahari, were not called much to be part of this revival. So it was also the time in which some of them, they didn't want anymore to declare to be belonging to that category because they were not having the Shiva anymore in the temple, so they wanted to find some way of sustenance, some job. So so it was not easy because the fact that they were belonging to Mahari at that point, that mentality of being linked with prostitution and all these things was there, and so they had to hide the fact that they were. So some of them, so a few of them only in some seminar, Dunguriapa and Kokila were being called, but other way in the most of the talks they were not being consulted. So most of the tradition which went into the revival of the Odissi dance come from another thread, which is the Gotipur. So Gotipur is also an important aspect, again linked to the Vaishnavism, of this boy dresses girl, which were supposed to dance outside the temple. So when the Muslim and Afghan invasion came and the Mahari dance outside the temple was not so safe anymore. So this category of boys, Akhara Billa or Gotipua, were trained in the Akhara, which were there around the temple in Puri, and their tradition came also to us. So when the revival took place, we had these two traditions from where to recover the dance.
Could you show us some of the aspects of this tradition?
To show. Now, we are not very well equipped, but no, I was thinking that we have not reached to that point, and we have a short period of time. Okay, so maybe because we have to give a little bit one more link if I go to the demonstration, because we are not. So see when what scope you have when you choreograph one Ashtapadi. That is important because you see the different guru who are composing the same Ashtapadi, but where is the creativity of the composer, of the choreographer, where it can evolve, where it can show. So it is because the structure of our dance, Abhinaya, includes a part which is called Sanchari. So in the Sanchari, it is like to read in between the lines. So the lines of the poetry is full of meanings, but the lines is just with few words. So how to expand this meaning, how to help this meaning to become more clear and more, so in that way, we can add this Sanchari, as we call Sanchari Bhava. So this expansion, this elaboration. So in that way, I was just going to take maybe one line in one of the Ashtapadi, in which Radha is telling to her friend, because we are not talking much about the Geeta Govinda, who is the characters, what is the story. So we have talked about many things, but not that. But anyway, the characters are only three. The Gopi, one Saki, one Radha, and Krishna. So these are the three main characters. So sometimes Radha is talking to Saki, sometimes Saki is going to Krishna to go with Krishna to come back to Radha. Radha has seen Krishna with other gopis, so she's backing when she's imagining him with other girls, with another girl, and then when he comes to her, she's refusing him. So all these dynamics is going on in these 24 songs, Ashtapadi. So in this particular one, she is imagining and telling to Saki, once when she went and met him, it is not clear if it has happened, if it is her dream, if it is her imagination, if it is her memory, but it is a nice, like two friends are talking and say, you know, what is happened and all these things. So, but the poet, for example, is saying only that Radha is telling, ni bruta ni kuja gruha gataya nisi. Rahasit nihliya basant. Chakita bilokita. So she's saying, in the night, in the secret, in the night, in the dark, secretly I went out of the house. And then I reached there when the Krishna was sitting and he was laughing, waiting to enjoy love. So this is just plain. So why, how we can, so what is suggesting? That it was night and she was to go secretly. So she cannot dress up in a very gorgeous, because she may be seen in the night. She cannot go with the light of Deepa or anything because she can be seen. And it is dark in the jungle. So in the jungle, in the darkness, how to convey this to the fact that it is in a secret place. So on the path, she may find that somebody is crossing the road, so she has to hide herself. Or she sees a shadow and she thinks that it's a snake. Or there is a lot of branches and thorns, so the sari is held by one of the thorns. So this is how the reading in between the lines, as I said. So it's suggested by the fact that it is in the night, it is secretly, and nobody should see her. So how to convey this meaning? We can say it only that in the night, secretly I went to the ticket where Krishna was this much, literally, word by word. But the composition and the poems inspire you to elaborate. So, but the elaboration should be in tune with the what. So I cannot go beyond that, because otherwise I go away from that style, which is the main style, the main meaning of the song. So so this is what we didn't reach about actually in our talk about the analysis of the present composition. When she said that Charles Fabry maybe she said it was not a learned things. So the learned maybe is when these are the compositions which we are performing now, where a lot of thought has gone in between in it, and the things became more elaborated than what it must have been at the time of the Mahari. So maybe these 5 minutes things, if I can quickly find out the music with a little bit of...
And ragas, whereas a whole orchestra, whereas earlier it was only percussion and movement. I don't want to have a great dancer here and leave you all without at least a glimpse of those great compositions. So please bear with us while we get the music going.
so informative. Thank you, Ileana. Your passion, your focus, your determination to learn and master this dance and our scripture and narrate the story. So many of us would not have been able to do it in such depth. Thank you so much. This is truly a great learning. Thank you. And thank you, Nayantara, for this great moderation. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for